She brushed off his advance at the bar, unaware he was the most powerful man in the city, and he took her rejection as a challenge. She had always believed that power and integrity never walked hand in hand. He believed everything, and everyone, had a price. That night, fate simply placed them in the same room to prove they were both wrong. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from, your city, your place in the world. We want to know how far our stories can reach. The sound of ice swirling in crystal glasses blends with the gentle rhythm of jazz. The bar is elegant, understated, frequented by executives and low voices. Amber lights cascade across rows of bottles, casting golden reflections on polished tables. Isabella Duarte sits alone at the bar, her brown hair loosely tied back, a white shirt with sleeves rolled up, eyes carrying a quiet melancholy, like someone watching life from the outside just for a moment. She doesn't belong in that setting. A closed laptop beside her, a worn-out notebook, the air of someone who came only to think. The bartender serves her another drink. She nods a brief thanks. Across the room, a man watches, not with arrogance, but with curiosity. Dark suit, perfect posture, calm expression. The kind of presence that doesn't need to speak to command attention. Adrian Montero. Everyone knows the name, even if they don't know the man. The CEO, the magazine cover, the tycoon who builds empires and breaks reputations with a single investment. He approaches slowly, placing his glass beside hers. His voice is low, deep, enough to cut through the background music. "Can I buy you a drink?" She doesn't look at him. A brief, ironic smile crosses her lips before she replies, "You can, but I'll pay for mine." Silence. The kind of silence that unsettles men used to hearing yes. Adrian lifts his glass and looks at her reflection in the mirror behind the bar. "Then at least tell me the name of the woman who turned me down." She meets his gaze for the first time. Steady, calm, slightly defiant. "Isabella Duarte. And yours?" "Adrian." "Just Adrian?" "For now." She finishes her drink, places money on the counter, and stands. As she walks to the door, she feels his eyes follow her, not like a man who's been rejected, but like a strategist who's just spotted a worthy opponent. Outside, the rain begins. She opens her umbrella and glances back for a moment. He's still there, watching. A slight nod, a silent promise. But Isabella had no idea that everything would begin in that exact moment. Her apartment is small, chaotic, and full of life. Books, newspapers, neglected plants, and an old coffee maker. Outside, the city wakes in overlapping sounds, horns, soft rain, hurried footsteps. She writes at her desk surrounded by notes. A freelance journalist specializing in investigative pieces, Isabella lives on tight deadlines and uncomfortable truths. Her latest article, a potential corporate fraud involving one of the country's largest holdings, the Montero Group. As she types, her phone buzzes, a voice message from an unknown number. She taps it instinctively. The voice is deep, composed, precise. "Adrian Montero speaking. I need an answer before noon, the board is waiting." For a moment she thinks she misheard. She listens again. It's him, the man from the bar. She laughs, shaking her head. "Lucky for you, Adrian Montero, I don't work for you," she replies. Wrong message. Less than a minute later, the phone rings. She answers without thinking. Now it's the right number. His breathing is calm, almost audible. She hesitates, caught between curiosity and annoyance. "And who exactly do you think you're calling?" "Someone who intrigued me." "Is this a pickup line disguised as arrogance?" "It's an observation disguised as coincidence." She hangs up. For a few seconds, she just stares at the phone. Then she smiles, not out of warmth, but irony. She despises men who confuse interest with power. But there's something in that voice, something that lingers, something that unsettles. 3 days later, Isabella receives a call from a corporate magazine. They need someone to interview the new face of Brazilian business, a man who's reshaping the way the country thinks about capitalism. The interviewee's name, Adrian Montero. The meeting is scheduled for the next morning at the penthouse suite of the Montero Group headquarters. She hesitates but accepts. Professionalism above all. The building is a monument of glass and steel, reflecting a cloudy sky. Inside, the sound of heels echoes through the lobby. Everything is quiet, flawless, deliberate. In the conference room, he's already waiting. Grey suit, sleeves rolled, serene expression. She takes a deep breath and sets the recorder on the table. "So, fate really does enjoy coincidences, doesn't it?" he says. "Or maybe you just enjoy interfering with them." The conversation flows like a duel. Every sentence a defense. Every pause an attack. Isabella tries to stay focused on the questions. She asks about corporate ethics, social responsibility, concentrated power. He answers with calculated elegance, but every word is laced with quiet provocation. "Do you believe in merit, Mr. Montero?" "I believe in consequence." She writes it down, not hiding the firmness in her gaze. He smiles. "You're not like the other journalists." "I hope not." The silence that follows lingers just long enough to be felt. When the interview ends, she stands, gathers her notes, but leaves the recorder on the table. He picks it up slowly. "You forgot this." "Thank you." "Not yet." She reaches for it. He doesn't let go. "I'll need to listen again, just to make sure I understood you." She meets his eyes. "Understanding doesn't seem to be your problem." "Not until today." She takes the recorder and walks out. The sound of her heels echoes on the cold marble. He remains where he is, watching the door close. For the first time in a long while, Adrian Montero feels something unexpected, curiosity, and the faint taste of losing control. That night, Isabella walks home in the rain. The bar where it all began still sits on the same corner. She slows as she passes the glowing facade. On impulse, she goes in. Same bartender, same music. She orders the same drink. For a moment, it feels like time has rewound itself. Her phone buzzes. A message from an unknown number. "Didn't think you were the type to revisit places or men." She turns. He's sitting in the back of the room, watching. Same suit, same look. But something is different now, as if the game had already begun. She puts the phone away and finishes her drink, then rises and walks toward him. Their eyes lock. "Didn't think you were the type to keep chasing rejection." "I'm persistent." There's another word for that. Determined. She holds his gaze. "And if I say no again?" "The city's big, but I tend to find what I'm looking for," she laughs. But there's something dangerous in her laugh, maybe a beginning, maybe a warning. Outside, the rain intensifies. The clock strikes midnight. The story starts to write itself, and the challenge now belongs to them both. At night, the city felt like a living organism. Lights breathing softly, distant horns echoing, tires hissing over wet asphalt. Inside the bar, the rain outside made the atmosphere feel more intimate, as if the world had gone quiet, just to hear what hadn't yet been said. Isabella and Adrian locked eyes for several long seconds, long enough for time to lose its meaning. Her chin was held high, her gaze steady, the look of someone who refuses to be intimidated by any kind of power. He watched her with calm precision, studying every movement like a man trying to crack a code. She sat down across from him without asking. The waiter approached, but Adrian gave a subtle wave, not commanding, just habitual. 2 glasses, the same whiskey. She caught the detail, and the tone in his voice when he spoke to the waiter, low, steady, effortless. "You don't need to buy me a drink," she said, picking up her glass. "I already did that last time. This time it's a truce, not an offer." She studied him for a moment, trying to read his true intent. "A truce from what?" "From the game that started the moment you turned down my first invitation." Isabella leaned back in her chair, resting one arm casually on the back, eyes locked on his. "I wasn't playing, Adrian." "Then it's worse than I thought." "Worse?" You dismissed me without even realizing I was trying to win you over. She laughed, but not playfully. Men like you don't try. You just assume you've already won. He smiled, subtle. And women like you? Women like me know when they're being underestimated. The conversation paused in a brief silence. The bar around them seemed to fade. The music, the voices, the clinking glasses, all turned into background noise. He watched her with an interest that wasn't purely physical. It was as if something about her both irritated and fascinated him. She felt his gaze reach past defenses she'd long since learned to keep in place. "Do you always talk to strangers like this?" he asked. "Only when the strangers think they can study me." "And can someone study a woman like you?" "They can try." There was a quiet challenge in her voice. He recognized the invitation, leaned in slightly, closing the space between them. "Tell me something, Isabella," he said, with the curiosity of a scientist. "If you had known who I was that night, would you have said yes?" She wrapped both hands around the glass. The ice inside was melting slowly. "I would have said no even faster," he smiled. It wasn't defeat, it was recognition. The first moment something in him shifted, as if, for once, the power had changed hands. She finished her drink and stood. "Good night, Adrian." "Running away again?" "I don't run from anyone. I just know when it's time to leave." She walked toward the door, but he spoke before she reached it. "The Montero Group. It's not the subject of your next story, is it?" She stopped. Didn't turn right away, took a breath, considered, then turned slowly. "And if it is?" "I'd read it," he said with a half smile. "Then sue the publisher." She held his gaze for a beat. "Lucky for you, I'm self-employed." She walked out without rush. He remained seated, watching the door close. Her reflection still lingered in the empty glass. 2 days later, Isabella wakes to a phone notification. A formal invitation to cover a major corporate event, the launch of a new social impact foundation, chaired by none other than Adrian Montero. She hesitates, but curiosity wins. The event takes place at the top of a glass tower, overlooking the entire city. Men in tailored suits, women in long dresses, flashes, polished smiles. Isabella enters with a press credential. She brings her recorder and a list of questions she knows will likely never be approved. Between handshakes and speeches, she spots him. Adrian stands among investors and politicians, but his eyes find her through the crowd with surgical precision. He doesn't smile. He simply raises his glass in a silent toast, as if to say, "I knew you'd come." She looks away, but the effect of his presence is immediate. That kind of confidence is infuriating. He is the kind of man the world taught her to resist. During his speech, he talks about responsibility, transformation, ethics. His words are measured, but his tone isn't rehearsed, it feels real, and that unsettles her. When he steps off the stage, he's suddenly in front of her, before she even realizes. "I hope you're taking notes. I don't do sponsored content." "I know. That's what I like most about you." She grips the recorder, but her voice comes out colder than intended. "What do you want, Adrian?" "I haven't figured that out yet, but I'm good at finding answers." "Then good luck." "Not luck. Patience." He walks away. She follows him with her eyes, trying to determine if that was manipulation, charm, or something else entirely. Something more dangerous, more human. After the event, she walks toward her car and finds an envelope under the wiper blade. No sender. Inside, a simple card. "Do you really want to understand power? Go where it begins." On the back, an address. She hesitates, but the reporter in her silences the fear. Hours later, she parks in front of an abandoned warehouse by the docks. Inside, workers are dismantling what's left of an old factory. Among scattered documents, she finds files linking shell companies to the Montero Group. She photographs everything. Then, footsteps behind her. She turns. It's him, You're terrible at following safety advice, and you're terrible at covering your tracks. He walks slowly, hands in his pockets. I sent you here to see what you'd do. And you did exactly what I expected, trying to intimidate me, trying to understand what drives you. She stares him down, unmoved. The truth. And what would you do if the truth destroyed you? She doesn't answer. The sound of rain outside fills the silence. For a moment, it's just the two of them, surrounded by shadows and a past she doesn't yet understand. The tension is almost physical, but it doesn't break. It lingers, shifts, transforms. He steps closer. She catches his scent, woodsy, subtle, expensive. Their breathing aligns, suspended. You should go, he says at last, afraid of what I might find, of what you might lose. She walks away, not out of obedience, but instinct. Outside, the wind carries the distant sound of the sea, and she realizes this story is no longer just professional. And the man she set out to expose may be the only one capable of completely exposing her. The night that followed felt longer than usual. Isabella couldn't sleep. Her body was exhausted, but her mind wouldn't stop, replaying every word spoken in that warehouse, the tone of his voice, the look in his eyes that seemed to know more than it should. Adrian Montero. His name no longer sounded like just a subject of investigation. It had become an enigma she couldn't ignore. The rain continued outside, softer now. The clock read 2 a.m. She rose, walked to the window, and looked out over the city. A scatter of lights, lit windows, empty streets. Something in her had changed. The drive for truth still pulsed within her, but now tangled with something more unsettling. Curiosity. Not about what he did, but about who he was when no one was watching. Elsewhere, in a penthouse wrapped in glass and silence, Adrian stared at the same city. On his table, her phone, forgotten in the warehouse, buzzed with endless notifications. He looked at it like someone holding evidence of something dangerous, something deeply personal. He could have sent it back with an assistant, could have ignored it altogether, but he didn't. He picked up the phone, turned it in his hands, and saw his own expression reflected in the screen, composed, or maybe close to afraid, a kind of fear he didn't recognize. He set it down, took a breath, and dialed. Her voice was rough, tired, guarded. This better be important. I think I forgot something of yours. My phone. It seems to have taken a liking to its new address. Where is it? My office. Great. Send someone to return it. I'd rather you come get it. She said nothing. He knew she was weighing her options. Why? Because some questions aren't meant for the phone. She took a slow breath. Tomorrow, 10 o'clock, and don't expect a thank you. I don't. The call ended, but the conversation hung in the air like a promise that hadn't yet found its shape. The Montero Group's headquarters was a mirror of the man who built it, cold, silent, meticulously arranged. Isabella walked in with precise steps, ignoring the curious glances from secretaries and executives. When the elevator reached the top floor, she took a breath and stepped down the marble corridor. Adrian stood by the window, his back to the door. Dark blue suit, still body. Eyes fixed on the city. He didn't turn when she entered. I thought you wouldn't come. I thought about not coming. He turned slowly. Something in his face had changed. Not arrogance, but a guarded calm, the kind of stillness built from tension. Here's what you came for. The phone lay on the desk. She walked over, picked it up, slipped it into her bag. He watched the movement closely, as if the way she tucked it away could reveal what she felt. Curious coincidence, he said, voice low. A journalist's phone found in a place no one should have been. Coincidence or setup? Depends who's being set up. She crossed her arms. You used me to test something. I used the opportunity to see if you were who you claimed to be. And? You're more like me than you think. That answer caught her off guard. Part of her bristled at the comparison. Another part, deeper, understood exactly what he meant. Both distrusted the world. Both used control as a shield. He walked to the desk, picked up a folder and handed it to her. "You might want to see this." She hesitated before opening it. Documents, reports, spreadsheets, names, proof that one arm of his corporation was laundering money, a scheme he was quietly trying to dismantle. "Why show me this?" she asked. "Because I trust people who aren't afraid to challenge me." "And what do you gain?" "Maybe nothing. Maybe peace." She studied him carefully. His voice was as precise as his movements, but there was something different, a fracture, and Isabella, trained to spot cracks in other people's stories, saw it clearly. "You talk about power like it bothers you." "It does." "Then why stay trapped in it?" "Because it's the only thing that still listens to me." Silence. She understood that there was no pride in that sentence, only confession. Something shifted in the air between them. The tension dissolved into something else, a strange empathy, the kind of connection that forms when two people see each other without the masks they wear to survive. She looked away, trying to regain control. "I don't know if I should publish this. Do what you think is right. Just let me know before you destroy what's left of my name." "Why?" "Because, for some reason, I care what you think of me." The words lingered. Unexpected. She tried to answer, but nothing came out. He stepped closer, slow enough that the silence between them felt almost physical. She could feel the heat of his body, the faint scent of cedar and smoke. For a moment, their breaths intertwined. No touch, only the acknowledgement of something neither could deny anymore. She stepped back. "This is dangerous." "Everything worth it is." She took the phone again, slipped the documents into her bag, and walked out without looking back. Adrian stayed where he was, staring at the closed door, feeling the echo of his own words reveal more than he ever intended. In the days that followed, she tried to push that meeting out of her mind, but the images returned in vivid detail, the tone of his voice, the way he looked without asking permission, the strange feeling of being both understood and challenged. She buried herself in work, but focus slipped through her fingers. And all the while, his name remained in the headlines. The man reinventing the market, the mogul of the future. But now she saw something behind the accolades: loneliness. One night, while reviewing documents, she noticed a handwritten note on one of the pages. His handwriting. Just a single sentence. "Truth doesn't always save, but it sets you free." She closed the folder and stared out the window. The city pulsed beyond the glass, indifferent. Inside her, something had shifted. This story could no longer be told from the safe distance of a reporter. Adrian felt it too. He tried to ignore it, tried to lose himself in meetings, numbers, decisions. But each time he crossed the glass room, he saw her reflection in his thoughts. The woman who faced him without fear. The woman who somehow reminded him of who he used to be, before he became the man everyone feared. One night, with no warning, he called. "Still awake?" "Always." "I shouldn't be calling." "Then why are you?" "Because I wanted to hear a voice that doesn't lie to me." She didn't answer. The silence between them was thick, filled with something neither of them could name. "Is it raining there?" he asked. "It is." "Same here." For a long time they said nothing else. Only the sound of rain filled the distance, and in that shared silence they understood what couldn't be spoken. The following days brought a kind of artificial calm. The silence that comes before a storm, the moment fate holds its breath before the blow. Isabella kept investigating. What used to be routine now felt like walking through a minefield of distractions. Every time Adrian's name appeared in documents, articles, reports, she felt something involuntary, a blend of interest and revulsion. There was something she still didn't understand, something subtle, invisible, repeating itself across every clue, a signature she couldn't quite read. That morning she received a message from an old newsroom contact, an informant who once traded her favors. "There's something about the Montero group you need to see, in person." The address was in an old neighborhood, tucked between warehouses and abandoned buildings. The air smelled of rust and long-dried rain. She entered a small office. The man was waiting, surrounded by papers. A tired face, a low voice, eyes weighed down by what he knew. It's all there. The contracts, the shell companies, the transfers. What exactly am I supposed to see? One, she asked, flipping through the pages. The origin of the investment that brought down a media group 15 years ago. The owner ended up in prison. And? The owner was your father. Her hands froze on the paper. The man continued, unaware of the abyss opening in front of her. The name behind the consortium that funded the operation was a Montero Group subsidiary. But back then it wasn't Adrian who signed the deals. It was his father. Isabella closed her eyes for a second, trying to bring order to the chaos inside her. The name, the company, the symbol. Everything she had been investigating now formed a perfect circle, and at the center was the man she was beginning to love, even if she refused to admit it. She left the office without a word. The cold air outside felt heavier. She walked for blocks with no direction, torn between the need to confront and the urge to disappear. Every memory of their recent encounters now felt tainted by this revelation. Nothing was simple. Not a single word exchanged between them was free from the shadow of this hidden link. His office was silent when she entered. The secretary tried to stop her. Failed. Adrian looked up from his laptop, startled by the urgency in her eyes. You knew. Isabella, what are you talking about? My father, the prison, the company that destroyed him. He rose slowly. That was before my time. But the name Montero is on every contract. The name, yes, not the decisions. She dropped the documents on the table. Then tell me you didn't know. He stayed silent. The lack of denial was worse than any answer. She felt her body stiffen, as if something inside her cracked quietly apart. You should have told me. I was waiting for the right time. There's no right time for this. There's only courage. He tried to step closer. She stepped back. Was everything between us a lie? No. Then what was it? A chance. For what? To repair something I didn't cause, but inherited. She laughed, a short, joyless sound. You inherited more than power, Adrian. You inherited the ability to hide the truth. He ran a hand through his hair, trying to steady the weight of it all. If I said I care about you, would you believe me? I would, but it wouldn't change a thing. She looked at him one last time before leaving. His eyes held something between regret and resignation, the kind of look that doesn't ask for forgiveness, but knows it's already lost. The weeks that followed dragged on. Isabella buried herself in work, but nothing felt enough. The words didn't come with the same fire. Her writing had lost its pulse. In every article there was an unspoken subtext, an attempt to convince herself she still believed in truth as a redemptive force. At night, solitude visited with precision. The sound of the ticking clock, glasses clinking, the city flickering beyond the window. She listened to her own breath and remembered his. Tried to erase the memories, but the body remembers what the mind pretends to forget. Adrian, too, sought refuge in work. The empire he built was beginning to show cracks. Tense meetings, restless board members, reporters on the hunt for scandal, but nothing unsettled him like her absence. The city was the same, yet smaller somehow. And in his apartment, the silence magnified the rain and the loneliness. One night, he opened the archived footage from the office security camera. There, among the deleted recordings, he found the moment she walked in to confront him. He replayed it, every movement, every glance, and realized something undeniable. From the very beginning, she had always told the truth, and he, of all people, had been the one who couldn't. Fate didn't need much effort to bring them face to face again. A conference on corporate ethics. The irony wasn't lost on either of them. She as a reporter, he as the keynote speaker. The moment she stepped into the auditorium, the air shifted. He was speaking, and his words landed straight in her. There is no power without consequence. True control is knowing who you are when everything else is lost. At the end of the talk, the press closed in, cameras flashing, hands reaching, smiles choreographed. But when their eyes met, time stilled. She hesitated, then turned and walked away without a word. In the lobby, an assistant stopped her with an envelope. Inside, only a single sheet of paper. Not every silence means surrender. That night, Isabella returned to the bar. Same place, same music. She sat alone, ordered a drink, watched the world move around her. She was trying to return to the moment where it all began, perhaps to understand where she lost herself. Across the city, Adrian stepped out of a black car. No guards, no schedule, no plan. He entered the bar, saw her, and stopped, a few steps away, unwilling to interrupt the quiet. She felt him before he said a word. Turned. Their eyes met, and in that gaze every unspoken word passed between them. He approached. "May I sit? I'm not sure I should let you. I didn't come to ask for anything." "Then why are you here?" "To keep a promise." She said nothing. He sat down. For a few moments they just breathed the same air, surrounded by the same saxophone notes that once scored their beginning. Time hadn't erased what was between them, only made it heavier, more real. He ran his fingers over the rim of his glass. "Sometimes I think I was born on the wrong side of everything. And yet you stay there. It's hard to leave the thing that protects you. Even when it destroys you? Especially then." She studied him closely. Something was different. The untouchable man now bore the vulnerability of someone who had learned the weight of his own choices. The silence stretched, thick, meaningful. She finished her drink and stood. "Good night, Adrian." He didn't stop her. He only said, "When you figure out what's stronger than anger, and you'll know where to find me." She left. The door closed, and the bar became just a bar again. But for them, nothing there would ever feel the same. Time moved without urgency. Slow days, endless nights. Nothing broke all at once. It simply faded into quiet. The silence between them became almost physical, heavy enough to shift the air. Isabella stopped going to the bar, stopped answering unknown calls, stopped trying to make sense of what was left. Work took center stage again, but the word focus had lost its meaning. Her reports were precise, cold, flawless, but each sentence seemed to carry an absence, as if her writing was avoiding a truth too close to name. In the mornings, her apartment was quieter than ever, the sound of coffee dripping, the wind through the window, the clock counting the hours like a metronome. She kept the motions going, open the laptop, revise notes, delete old messages, each action a way to keep distance from what refused to leave. At night, the city lights still pulsed beyond the glass, unchanged, indifferent. Sometimes she wondered if he still watched them too, behind some pane of glass surrounded by silence and power. The thought would come and go without warning, and when it came, it left behind something bitter, almost physical. At the top of the city's most expensive building, Adrian's footsteps echoed along the marble corridor. Meetings had become monotonous, reports predictable. The press had begun to question his contracts, and the board demanded answers. But what truly disturbed him wasn't the threat of downfall. It was the hollow space she had left behind. In his sleepless hours, he revisited the story of his life, his father's decisions, the deals he had inherited, the promise to fix what had always been morally crooked. But power is an addiction with a respectable face. It rarely admits to needing a cure. Even when he tried to undo the wrongs, he realized it was already too late. The foundations that held up his empire had been stained from the beginning. That night he walked to the bookshelf and opened a box he hadn't touched in years. Old documents, newspaper clippings, his father's resignation letter written before his death, and among the papers, a sealed envelope. The postmark matched the day Isabella's father was sentenced. Adrian opened it. The letter was brief, handwritten. His father admitted to using another businessman's name to cover up a fraud, one that would save the company from bankruptcy. That man was her father. Prison had been the price for the silence of an innocent. And the Montero fortune, the direct result of that crime. Adrian sat down, the paper trembling in his hands. The silence in the room was total, broken only by the ticking of the clock. Everything else had lost shape. The next evening, the newsroom where Isabella occasionally contributed received a package addressed to her. No sender, only a date and a phrase, "For when the time is right." Inside, a copy of the document Adrian had found, and a letter. No signature, but the handwriting she recognized instantly. "I'm not asking for forgiveness, only for you to know that the truth you always searched for existed, even when I couldn't find the courage to speak it. I didn't just inherit guilt. I inherited the responsibility to repair it. What my father destroyed, I tried to rebuild and failed. But now, all of it is in your hands. If the Montero name must fall, let it fall through your words." She read it twice, then again. The air felt different, a new kind of silence, not of absence but of revelation. She knew those documents wouldn't just rewrite the Montero legacy, they would reshape the way she remembered him. She placed the letter inside a book, closed her eyes, and for the first time in months felt something that wasn't anger. Perhaps it was sorrow, or perhaps a love stripped of illusion, yet still alive. 30 days later, the country woke to identical headlines across every major paper. The revelation of a long-buried fraud, a posthumous confession, the voluntary dismantling of the Montero empire. No press releases, no interviews, no lawyers. Adrian had vanished from public view, and with him, the arrogance of an empire. Isabella watched from a distance. There was no pleasure in it, no sense of triumph. The story she chose not to publish was now in the hands of others, but the sources, the evidence, all pointed to the same man, the one who chose silence over self-defense. It was the truth. And yet, it still felt like loss. That night she walked. The rain had returned, soft, persistent. She passed streets that had once belonged to other versions of her life, until she stood in front of an old building, unremarkable on the outside. The doorman recognized her name and let her in without a word. Adrian's apartment had been stripped of Power's glow, curtains drawn open, lights low, boxes stacked against the walls. He stood by the window, the same posture as always, but his body betrayed exhaustion. "I didn't think you'd come," he said, still facing the glass. "I wasn't sure I should. And yet, you're here." She stepped closer. The distance between them felt larger than ever. "You could have defended yourself. And lie again. You could have told me earlier. I tried. But fear doesn't leave room for truth." She looked around. The walls once adorned with expensive art were bare, the desk empty. It was as if he had stripped himself of everything but guilt. "And now?" she asked. "Now the Montero name will disappear. And you? I still don't know who's left once it does." The rain tapped softly against the glass. Isabella took another step. "The truth doesn't undo what's been done. I know, but sometimes it's the only way something else can begin." Adrian turned to face her for the first time since she entered, and in his eyes something had shifted. Not steel, but something human, fragile. "I don't deserve anything from you. I didn't come to give. I came to listen to what you still had to say." He hesitated, then spoke quietly. "That even after I lost you, I still saw you in everything I tried to fix." She didn't answer. She just stood there, listening to the rain and the rhythm of his breath. Time stood still. No gestures of reconciliation, no promises, only the truth bare between them. Isabella walked away without looking back. But something had changed. The past was no longer a wound, it was becoming a scar. On the way home, the sky was beginning to clear. The rain had stopped, but the air still carried that scent of wet earth that always comes after the storm. She knew somehow that the story wasn't over. Love, like truth, sometimes needs distance to reveal itself fully. High above the city, Adrian watched her leave. He didn't try to stop her, but as he saw her disappear among cars and lights, he knew this was the moment when truth began to return, what lies had stolen. The city moved slower in the weeks that followed, as if it were breathing in long, deliberate sighs. The press was still trying to make sense of the dismantling of the Montero empire, but the man behind the name had vanished from every radar. No statements, no public appearances, only silence. Isabella, on the other hand, had become the center of attention. Some called her a brave journalist, others an opportunist. None of the labels stung as much as the echo of her own silence. She had the evidence, she had the story, she even had the potential glory, but she had no peace. For days, she turned down interview requests. She spent hours by the window, watching the flow of cars, the reflection of streetlights, the impersonal motion of the world. This was a victory that didn't call for celebration. It felt like reaching the end of a road she never asked to walk. At night, the rain returned, and with it, the memory of Adrian's voice, that calm tone, his measured words, the way he seemed to carry some invisible weight even when he smiled. She tried to forget, but forgetting is a fragile invention. Everything we try to erase leaves a trace. It was on an autumn afternoon that fate, or what was left of it, stepped in again. She was walking through a quiet street near the center when an old bookstore caught her eye. In the window, a worn-out book with a faded note inside. To those who still believe truth can be love. She stepped inside without knowing why. The air smelled of damp paper and aged wood. The floorboards creaked beneath her. A dusty old radio played soft jazz, the same kind that played at the bar where it all began, and in the back of the bookstore, he was there. No suit, no bodyguards, no aura of power. Just a man, beard slightly unshaven, eyes tired. There was a quiet peace in his face. She stopped, but he saw her first. For a second, time hesitated. "I thought you left the city," she said, voice steady, low. "I thought about it," he replied, "but there are still things I need to understand." Understand what? What remains of a man after everything that held him up falls away? She walked a few steps closer. The sound of old wood under her feet marked the rhythm of silence. "And have you figured it out? That what's left are the choices we didn't have the courage to make." She studied him. There was no longer tension, just quiet melancholy, the kind of weariness only unresolved love can leave behind. "What do you want from me, Adrian?" "For you to hear what I never managed to say." She waited. He stepped forward, but only halfway, as if unsure whether his presence still belonged near her. "When I met you," he said, "I thought you were a challenge. And I thought you were a threat." "I was. You still are." He smiled. No irony, just truth. "You showed me what I had become, and what I left behind. Everything I did to save my family's name ended up destroying what little was left of myself." She crossed her arms, gaze steady. "I don't know what you want me to say. I don't want you to say anything, just understand." He drew a deep breath, as if overcoming something invisible. "I grew up believing power meant control, but you showed me the opposite. That real strength is the courage to lose and stay whole." She looked away, but he took one more step forward. Now they were close enough for silence to carry weight. "I made mistakes," he said. "But what I felt for you was never part of those mistakes." The words came out low, as if they had fought their way through his chest. She searched his eyes, trying to decode it all. Was it a confession? A goodbye? A final reckoning? "You broke me without meaning to," she said at last. "I know. And still, I can't hate you." The phrase hung between them. Neither moved. The saxophone filled the air again, the wind slipping through the old wooden frames. Adrian reached out, not as one who asks, but as one who offers. She looked at his hand, and then she took it. It wasn't a gesture of forgiveness. It was recognition. The truth between them was now whole, undisguised. Oh, that night, she walked with him to his old apartment. There was nothing left but boxes and silence. The city lights poured in through the windows, reflecting like fragments of something saying its last goodbye. He poured her a glass of wine. They sat on the floor side by side, two survivors. "Are you leaving?" she asked. "Not yet, but I think I need to disappear for a while." "Running away?" "Starting over." She watched him for a long moment. "And what will be left of you when the Montero name is gone?" "I hope someone who can look others in the eye without needing power to be heard." The silence that followed was different, not heavy, just understood. The kind of silence that comes when pain finds its limit and turns into peace. He looked at her in a way that didn't need words, moved closer, gently, as if afraid to break something. The touch was light, like an acknowledgement that time had finally made them equals. When they kissed, there was no urgency, just the quiet act of two people who finally understood that sometimes love is just what waits at the end of conflict. No forgiveness was asked, none was given. Only the quiet certainty that after so much misalignment, they were ready for silence together. Hours later, she woke to find him at the window, his figure outlined by the faint light of dawn. The city slept beneath a light mist. "Regret it?" she asked. "I'm at peace. That's rare. For the first time, I don't have to prove anything to anyone." She rose and walked over, standing beside him. The cold glass, the distant sound of traffic beginning to stir. For a moment, they just looked at the horizon, two silhouettes before a city that no longer recognized them. Adrian turned and looked at her with a serenity she had never seen before. "Thank you for not giving up on the truth, even when it destroyed me. The truth destroys what it must, then it rebuilds what's left." He smiled, softly. The kind of smile born from understanding both the end and the beginning that follows. The sun started to rise behind the buildings, casting uneven golden reflections across the floor. She looked at him for a moment and knew this would be the last glance before the next chapter. Not of a love broken, but transformed. She touched his face, just once, then turned and walked toward the door. Before leaving, she said, "Take care not to let the man you've become forget what you learned with me." The door closed slowly. He stood there, motionless, until the city finally awoke. And when the sunlight filled the room, he felt, for the first time in years, the weight of a name lifting away. Months passed. The city changed subtly, as it always does when no one is watching. The billboards that once bore Adrian Montero's face now displayed new names, new promises. Power is cyclical, always finding a new body to inhabit. Isabella kept writing. Her pieces grew more personal, less political, more human. The newsroom said she had matured as a reporter. But what had truly matured was the woman behind the stories. She now knew that truth wasn't a banner to be raised, but a burden, and that its value lay in carrying it without turning it into vengeance. She still lived in the same apartment, still watched the city from tall windows, but her gaze had changed. There was lightness where once there had been suspicion. The hum of traffic, the rhythm of footsteps, the distant clang of streetcars, all seemed more human, less threatening. The world had not grown kinder, but she had finally learned to exist in it without hardening completely. Adrian's name rarely appeared in the news. She knew he had left the country shortly after the fall of the group, and that his assets were liquidated to pay reparations and restructure social foundations. A quiet attempt at atonement, a way to turn inherited guilt into something the world might receive with less pain. She didn't look for him, nor did she expect him to look for her. Between them remained the memory of something that had run its course, a meeting that had undone and remade them both. Autumn returned, bringing with it the cold wind drifting in from the sea. On a Sunday, Isabella went out for a walk without a destination. Downtown was nearly empty, the streets damp from a night's drizzle. She turned a corner and, without meaning to, came face to face with the bar. The same sign, the same amber glow in the windows. The same distant jazz, as if the whole city insisted on replaying the melody of an old story. She paused at the door, looked inside through the glass. Everything looked the same, and yet everything felt different. She entered. The waiter recognized her and simply nodded. Like someone seeing a person return to the right place at the right time, she sat at the same table, ordered the same drink. The ice clinked in the glass. A familiar sound. For a moment she felt the echo of that first night. The words spoken, the glances exchanged, the refusal. It was like watching a version of herself from a life that no longer belonged to her. She pulled out her notebook and began to write. The sentences flowed easily. Not every love story ends with two bodies together. Some end when two truths finally meet. She closed the notebook. That's when she heard the footsteps. She didn't turn immediately. The sound was unmistakable, measured, steady, unhurried. For a moment she thought it was only memory, but then the waiter stopped at her table. He asked me to bring you this. A glass identical to hers was placed on the counter. Beside it, a folded note. She opened it. The bar is still the same. The mistake, too. But now I know not every mistake needs fixing. Some just show the way. She lifted her eyes slowly. Across the room he was there, the same gaze, but a different man. No longer weighed down by a name, no longer polished by authority. A clear look, unguarded, peaceful. She didn't stand. He didn't approach. They both knew there was nothing left to prove. The silence between them was now another form of love, a presence with no demands. Adrian raised his glass, and she mirrored the gesture. For a few seconds, the world felt whole again. When she left the bar, the wind carried the scent of the sea, blended with the breath of the city. Light shimmered on the wet cobblestones, and the hum of cars moved in the distance. She walked slowly, unhurried. For the first time in a long while, she felt no weight, not of guilt, not of longing, not of the past. The bar stayed behind, but not what it symbolized. It was both the beginning and the end of the same line. A cycle closed, a mistake that revealed destiny. Somewhere he watched her walk away, not with the eyes of someone losing something, but with the gaze of someone finally understanding. Distance had become the necessary space for what remained of love to keep existing, even without possession. The tower clock struck 7. The city moved on. So did time. Isabella paused at the corner, breathed deeply, and looked up at the sky. The wind lifted her hair and the cold touched her face softly. She smiled, a small gesture but full, like someone making peace with her own fate. She turned and disappeared among the streets. Months later, a new foundation was quietly announced, the Duarte Montero Institute, dedicated to nurturing young, independent journalists. The name appeared without fanfare, like a signature deliberately left at the foot of a long story. Isabella never publicly confirmed her involvement. Adrian was never seen in photographs, but both silently remained present in what they built with the truth that remained. The bar stayed open. The same counter, the same music, the same light reflecting in the glasses. Sometimes a woman would walk in, order a drink, and write in a notebook. Sometimes a man would pause at the door, glance inside, and keep walking. Never at the same time, but always in the same rhythm.